You're listening to Cars and Coffee, your local home for the latest in motorsports and automotive news here on 91.3 WHJE. And now, here's your host, Nathan Ward. Hello, and welcome back to Cars and Coffee here on 91.3 WHJE. My name is Nathan Ward. We are back this week with a whole lot of pretty good news, actually, IndyCar-wise, and we have a lot of action coming up for this Mother's Day weekend. So if your mom's a car nerd, treat her to sitting in front of the TV and watching racing all day. I know that's very few of you, but let's get started anyway. IndyCar's ratings slump began to rebound this week at Barber Motorsports Park, with Fox reporting an average viewership of 914,000 people, up from NBC's 2024 number of 762,000, which was only, I think that was including Peacock. So that's not a great number for NBC, even on network, which is really telling for how little NBC had promoted the series, that they were getting that few viewers on network at a track that is often a fan favorite. The broadcast viewership peaked at the start of the race at around 970,000 people, according to Fox. Quote, "Through the first four races of the season, IndyCar on Fox is up 25%, averaging 899,000 viewers over 720,000 in 2024. The season started with a huge improvement for IndyCar when 1.4 million viewers tuned in for St. Petersburg, which was 45% higher than what the 2024 number was. It dipped at the Thermal Club with about 10% less than who watched the Thermal Club last year. But again, it's the Thermal Club. It clashed with March Madness, and it's just not a good race. And the broadcast cut out. It cratered at Long Beach with an average of 552,000, but it was 79.6% over when it aired on cable in 2024, because that's NBC's fault for putting the second biggest race on USA, and also IndyCar's fault for putting their second biggest race up against the Masters, which took away the white male audience that is probably 80% of the people that watch IndyCar. It sprang back at Barber, though. It was up 19.7% from last year, heading into Sunday's race on the IMS road course that starts the month of May, and of course the Indy 500. I think where people are going to look to see if this IndyCar on Fox experiment has become a true success is if the number for the 500 is higher, if the number for 500 qualifying is higher. I think everything from the Grand Prix onward, you are looking for improvement there. I understand the inability to keep fans around for this opening stretch of the season, which is race, 3 weeks off, race, 3 weeks off, race, another 3 weeks off, 2 races back-to-back. That's qualifying weekend in Indy, and that's the Indy 500. That's a really brutal stretch, first part of the season for the TV viewer, not only seeing IndyCar once every 3 weeks until the month of May starts. That's not great for viewer retention. I think we saw that with Thermal and especially Long Beach, even though those both clashed with large sporting events that took away most of IndyCar's major audience. But I like seeing that Barber's number was higher than last year's. At that point, NBC had kind of given up. I had joked previously about how I think I hadn't seen an IndyCar commercial outside of the 500 in years at that point. I think I was talking about that with Oliver and Kyle last year, this time last year on the show post Barber. I thought I hadn't seen an IndyCar commercial in probably years advertising anything outside of the 500 that was like outside of an IndyCar race time slot, because you're going to have ads to watch next week for the people who are watching the race already, but you're not bringing in new viewers. It seemed kind of lazy for NBC, and I think a change was definitely necessary. Fox is doing well. They are doing less well than most people thought they would after St. Pete. St. Pete's number was great. It's unfortunate that the season start is so slow that they couldn't capitalize on that massive wave of promotion that they had with the driver-focused ads, the Super Bowl ads, all of that. They couldn't capitalize on it because there wasn't a race for another month, basically, which is just real. it's really sad. But that's what you have now. IndyCar management is refusing to do more than 17 races, but you're going to places like Portland, which can't draw a crowd. You're going to places like Thermal, which just refuse to sell tickets. And you're not... I do think Mexico City is going to happen. I am about 95% sure that you will hear a Mexico City announcement after the NASCAR weekend there in the summer, but that's still a long way out and a long way for something to go wrong, unfortunately. But I believe Mexico City's happening, Arlington is happening, and it will be 2 weeks after the opener instead of 3, which I think will be far better in terms of fan retention. That way the teams get their nice off week so they can work on the cars or just take a day off, take some time to be with their families, because yes, the team members do need time to be people, be families, they need time to do what they need to do outside of the sport, which is great. But taking 2 weeks, I think, is too little or too long for viewer retention purposes, which I'm glad Arlington's resolving that. But if they drop Thermal for Arlington, which looks like it's going to happen, it will be a month from Arlington to Mexico City, which I understand Mexico City is an international event. You got to get the cars through customs, but from Indianapolis, where most of the teams are based, to Mexico City is a shorter drive than Indianapolis to Los Angeles. Even as someone who is pretty invested in geography and geopolitics, I did not know that until maybe 2 weeks ago, that it is faster, even with customs, to go from Indy to Mexico City than Indy to Los Angeles, where you have races like Long Beach, and Thermal is just outside of Los Angeles, and Laguna Seca is over there too. So that's why a lot of people have believed that Mexico City has been doable for years, and they just haven't been doing it for whatever reason. I mean, we didn't have a Mexican driver until like 2020, and 2020 was the year everything went to crap, so that's understandable. The fact that we probably wouldn't have gotten a huge following in Mexico prior to the arrival of Pato O'Ward into the series, but now you really got to get there. That is a market that you must get into for the sake of the publicity that Pato O'Ward is bringing your sport. No matter, I don't care if he's having a bad year. Pato O'Ward may not be having a great year, but Pato O'Ward still has hundreds of thousands of fans in Mexico that will absolutely pay to watch their favorite home nation, their national driver race. It's so important. I've seen it happen as long as Sergio Perez has been in F1. And it makes me wonder for the F1 race in Mexico this year, since there isn't a Mexican driver on the grid anymore, will that see a decrease in fan attendance and engagement now that there is no longer a, quote, hometown driver to cheer for in the stands? So, overall, looking back at Barber, great TV number. A lot of people on the ground, including Marshall Pruitt from Racer.com and a bunch of other people I've seen share their experiences on apps like Twitter. The in-person crowd was great too, and I think that's a trend that is continuing to... that's a trend that's going to continue to happen. Good crowd at St. Pete, record crowd at St. Pete. Thermal had... I'm not going to count Thermal, because Thermal was only going to let 5,000 people in anyway, and 2,500 showed up. Yeah, whatever. Long Beach, record crowd. Barber, it looks like there might be a record crowd at Barber. That's really good. You have hit the sweet spot when it comes to getting people to show up to IndyCar road course races. If you can apply that to oval races outside of the Indianapolis 500, boom, you have a whole new door that you can open up, and all of a sudden you may have more appeal to any oval track owners, like track owners at Richmond, track owners at Pocono. I think Pocono deserves a second race. It does not deserve a third. Two NASCAR weekends and an IndyCar weekend did not make sense for Pocono during that era. I think from a crowd standpoint, I think NASCAR in July, NASCAR in mid-July, and IndyCar at the end of August, I think would be great for Pocono. And like a third of the U.S. population lives within 300 miles of that track. There is a market. You just have to know how to exploit it properly, and I think a Pocono return is great. I do want to explore that in a YouTube video on my own free time, whenever I have the free time to do so. If you are interested in that kind of thing, I do have all of these Cars and Coffee shows downloaded and posted to YouTube at youtube.com/TWIRvids. You can get in touch with us on Instagram at carsandcoffee_WHJE. I post video updates, my picks for this weekend. I do special jackpot posts whenever I get picks right. I post news sometimes. I post happenings with the show. I post when new shows go up on YouTube. I do a lot over there. And if you want to get in touch with the show, I think that is your best option. We will be right back. You're listening to Cars and Coffee here on 91.3 WHJE. Here's Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. Don't go anywhere. Cars and Coffee will be right back here on 91.3 WHJE. Hi, if you're listening to this, that means you're listening to the show on playback. I just want to say thank you for listening, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss full-length show replays when they're uploaded. If you're listening on playback on the radio, go to youtube.com/TWIRvids. If you're listening to the video on YouTube, just click the button below. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the show. We now return to Cars and Coffee on 91.3 WHJE. Welcome back to Cars and Coffee here on 91.3 WHJE. That was not Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. My apologies, because I put the songs in the wrong order. All of the songs I was going to play, I put into the queue before I came on air, and I put Creed, which I was going to play after this segment, in the first slot, and I put Wish You Were Here in the second one, and I did not realize until I clicked play. So, apologies for that misidentification, but let's go on with the news. If you are just joining us, remember to follow us on Instagram at carsandcoffee_WHJE. Let's get into it. I'm sick of plugging my own personal projects. As the IndyCar paddock leaves Barber Motorsports Park and heads to Indianapolis for the month of May, many fans are wondering what IndyCar can do to fix the racing product. Even at tracks where races have been previously action-packed, places like Barber Motorsports Park, there have been exactly 2 on-track passes for the lead on road courses since the introduction of the hybrid unit. The oval racing so far has been meh, but it's been watchable. The oval racing has been watchable. The road course product is just boring. The biggest issue in my eyes with the hybrid is the car was not built to accommodate it. The hybrid is built to fit in the very small bell housing of the DW12 chassis. I saw this firsthand when I went to visit Chip Ganassi Racing last year. I did a walk through the building. Did not take any footage because I wasn't allowed to, but I did get to hold a bell housing. That thing is small. I don't think the average person who's never been near an IndyCar understands how small they had to pack how small of a space they had to pack the hybrid into. But that's a huge issue. But even then, it adds 105 pounds to the car. Not only does the space limit the capacity and the usefulness of the actual battery and the deployment system of the hybrid unit, the added 105 pounds of weight actually cancels out any positive effect that the hybrid could have on the racing product, because it makes the car heavier, hard to handle, and it messes up the balance of everything, and the great racing that IndyCar had before is seemingly lacking now. And the weight is not... The added 105 pounds of the car makes the car harder to handle, and the extra weight making the car worse has a greater effect on the car than the extra burst of power that you can use for 7 seconds a lap with the hybrid unit. It's just not worth it. In no way is this comment, or is this my view on the hybrid any anti-environmentalists. They're trying to ruin my pure gas-powered IndyCar. No, I don't care if you have a hybrid on the car as long as the hybrid does something cool. Like, more power is awesome. I don't care how you do it, but the only way to fix this short term, there are two ways. One is almost completely impossible, and the other is just as impossible. The two ways to fix this are drop the hybrid until the new car is introduced in 2027, which is just not going to happen. Honda and Chevy put a lot of effort into jointly developing this hybrid system. That leaves only one major option, and that is increasing the turbocharger boost on the engines to compensate for the added weight. Whatever they do, they need to do something quickly. IndyCar can't wait until 2027 for a change that may not even happen. We don't know how the 2027 car is going to race. We barely know that the 2027 car even exists. How do we know how well that car will end up racing? It's just a complete unknown, and you're waiting for a change that may not happen. Boring races may soon cause fans to stop paying attention, and again, you're going to lose that momentum of Fox's promotion all the way through this 6-month off season, and it's going to be compound issues if you don't fix the racing. The racing is the product. It's what people watch IndyCar for, and the fact that there have only been 2 lead changes on road courses since July of last year, that is really concerning to me, and it should be concerning to any IndyCar fan. So if you are an IndyCar fan, maybe you should write a letter or a very nicely worded email to Penske Entertainment. I am not in any way encouraging harassment. I'm saying this for legal reasons. Write a nice, you should change your mind letter to Penske Entertainment, but be civil about it. We don't need more problems with stereotypes of motor racing fan bases as we don't need more bad stereotypes than the motor racing fan base already has, because we've seen how the NASCAR community treated Catherine Legg, and I think that's just awful. Like, I've said before that Catherine is not the best driver on the grid, and she isn't. That's just a fact, but she does not deserve the harassment she has gotten after, especially what happened at Rockingham. But moving on, the fact that there has not been a caution since lap 1 at St. Petersburg is also really concerning to me. Not that I want drivers to wreck. Like, that would be really weird with me. I don't want drivers to wreck, but there needs to be entertainment. There have been wrecks, but the ability in the hybrid to restart the engine has pretty much negated the need to throw a caution for any incidents. This happened with Scott McLaughlin and Devlin DeFrancesco coming to green at the Thermal Club. No caution for that. Louis Foster going off in the grass. No caution for that. He got back going. That happened to Barber this past week, and they didn't even have footage of it in the highlight reel. So that's how little of note the Louis Foster incident was. But not that I want drivers to wreck, but there has been minimal opportunity for incidents due to the inability to overtake. I think the main reason that everyone has been so clean is because they haven't had anyone around them to mess them up. So I think that explains itself. That's a statement that I've made that actually explains itself. I don't need to, like, if you are around somebody, it is more likely that you will get in someone else's problem than if you're running by yourself. If you're running by yourself with nobody around you, you are focused on what you are doing, what you have to do to attack the next corner, and you're not focused on, oh, I can't let this guy get too far out in front of me, or I can't let the dude behind me dive bomb me into the next corner. But to save the product, to save the racing, to save everything that makes IndyCar not F1, IndyCar really needs to make some technical changes. And they need to come fast, because I don't think the fans are going to want to wait till 2027 for a problem that may not fix itself. IndyCar is doing something to increase the variability in the order by forcing drivers to use 2 sets of each compound of tire. So they have to use, for the Indy GP onward at all road courses, because they don't use alternate tires on the ovals, each driver will have to use 2 sets of Blackwall Firestone tires, i.e. the primary compound, and 2 sets of alternate Firestone, or 2 sets of Redwall Firestone tires, the alternate compound. So hopefully that fixes something, but honestly, we're going to be left in the dark until we get the new chassis announcement, which is really going to suck. So, when we come back, I am going to make some picks. I'm going to talk about the races next week. I'm not picking for sports cars because I don't have time to pick for sports cars. If you do want to see those picks, they will be on the Instagram at carsandcoffee_WHJE. You're listening to Cars and Coffee here on 91.3 WHJE. Here is Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. I'm going to play the right song this time, I promise. Don't go anywhere. Cars and Coffee will be right back on 91.3 WHJE. Don't go anywhere. Cars and Coffee will be right back here on 91.3 WHJE. Hi. If you're listening to this, that means you're listening to the show on playback. I just want to say thank you for listening, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss full-length show replays when they're uploaded. If you're listening on playback on the radio, go to youtube.com/TWIRvids. If you're listening to the video on YouTube, just click the button below. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the show. We now return to Cars and Coffee on 91.3 WHJE. Hello, and welcome back to Cars and Coffee here on 91.3 WHJE. My name is Nathan Ward. It's time for picks. It's time to talk about races this week. Usually I'm in a hurry to get out of here when I get to the point of talking about races, but I don't have to today. So I still have 20 minutes. I got 20 minutes to yap, which is awesome. So we actually have a lot of races this week. We have 6 of the 8 series that I cover here on my Races This Week table on what I'm beginning to call the Cars and Coffee Big Board, the giant flat screen TV that sits behind me here in the WHJE studio. IndyCar is at the IMS Road Course to start the month of May with the Sancio Grand Prix, a race that a lot of people overlook. A race that gets pretty good TV ratings every year, but a race that has been dwindling in crowd size recently. If you want to watch the race, it will be on Saturday, May 10th at 4:30 p.m. 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. Indy Next has 2 races at the IMS Road Course. The Indy Next by Firestone Grand Prix of Indianapolis doubleheader. One race is on Friday, May 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. And race 2 is on Saturday the 10th at 1 p.m. on FS1. No F1 this week. IMSA is at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for the TireRack.com Monterey Sports Car Championship. That will be Sunday, May 11th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. The World Endurance Championship, you'll have to wake up a little less early if you want to catch the World Endurance Championship this week at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for the 6 hours of Spa. That will be Saturday morning, May 10th, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Max. The NASCAR Cup and Truck Series, no Xfinity this weekend, are going to be at Kansas Speedway. The trucks will be taking part in the Heart of Healthcare 200. That will be Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1. And Cup will be the Advent Health 400 on Sunday, May 11th at 3 p.m. Eastern on FS1 as well. Now going to picks, because I'm not picking for the sports car series. If you want to see my picks for the sports car series this week, go follow the Instagram at carsandcoffee_WHJE. I'm just going to pick all the single class series. For IndyCar, I think I don't have any real inkling in my mind to say that the Palou show is going to stop. I think Alex Palou is going to win his mind-boggling 4th race of the year at the Indy GP. It's a race he won last year. It's a race that I think if he gets the pole, he will win again. I would love to be wrong, but the way this year has been going, I don't think anyone has been able to stop Alex Palou except for Kyle Kirkwood. But those were different circumstances. I think Palou takes home the W again this week. For Indy Next, I think this is very simple. I think Dennis Hauger wins both races. It's that easy. There again, Dennis Hauger is the Alex Palou of Indy Next. I don't think there is anyone who will be able to challenge him. I hope to be wrong because I love seeing different winners in Indy Next. I think Kyle Collette said earlier this week he's going to try and make sure that Dennis Hauger does not walk out of Indianapolis with a win. I'd love to see that happen, but again, there is no real evidence that supports me picking Collette. I'm still going with Hauger. For trucks, I think this is a very simple, straightforward pick. I think Corey Heim's going to win again. He's been on a roll. He's far more mature, far more experienced than many of the other truck drivers that aren't full-time in Cup. I think Heim is going to coast to a championship this year. He is far and away the most talented driver in the Truck Series and is one of the very few drivers left in the Truck Series with actual decent driving standards that's not a horrible person. Looking at you, Chandler Smith. Stop playing iRacing and go feed your kids. For Cup, really, Kyle Larson won last year in the closest finish in NASCAR Cup history. I don't know how you can top that. Kansas is about as close to a super speedway as you can get for an intermediate track that's not Atlanta. It's been very it's been a diverse group of winners at Kansas in the next gen era in the last couple years. I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to pick the Hendrick car. I think William Byron's going to win at Kansas. It's as simple as that. If you want to catch up with the show, of course, follow the Instagram. As I've said a million times already, the show at carsandcoffee_WHJE, and follow the station if you haven't at WHJE_radio. You can find live show replays, highlights, videos, special projects of my own on YouTube at youtube.com/TWIRvids. I've been running that channel since I was 13, and I'm just going to say this, I don't mean to brag. I think I've gotten better since I was recording videos on my phone, since I have a full-fledged setup now, and I have this wonderful studio to use to help further my broadcasting career. And of course, you can listen live anywhere and support the station at WHJE.com and view lots of other staff work and also listen to most of my shows there. I really need to work on getting stuff onto the website, but that'll be it from me here on Cars and Coffee on 91.3 WHJE. My name is Nathan Ward. Here's one of my favorite songs of all time as a drummer, Master of Puppets by Metallica.